This one's for Elise. Ooh, this one's for Elise. Ooh, this one's for Elise. Ooh, this one's for Elise.
Well, tell me, do you hate me or do you wanna date me? It's kinda hard to tell, cause your eyes are looking crazy. So why you coming over? Anything but sober. Looking like it's time tonight. Or fight or flight. Man, hold it steady. I'm drilling in like a J-Paul Getty. Smith and Wesson. Taking shots that'll keep you guessing. Well, tell me, do you hate me or do you wanna date me? It's kinda hard to tell, cause your eyes are looking crazy. So why you coming over? Anything but sober. Looking like it's time tonight. Or fight or flight. Man, boy. Ooh, what you gonna do? Well, tell me, do you hate me or do you wanna date me? It's kinda hard to tell, cause your eyes are looking crazy. So why you coming over? Anything but sober. Looking like it's time tonight. Or fight or flight. Bad boy. Ooh, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Here we are. All righty. What's up, Daryl? Is it just you and me?
Just you and me, it looks
A lot of
like.
people tell me they wanted to be here today.
Well, hell, I tell you what, when I seen this, I jumped at it because every time you were coming on late, 4 o'clock and after, or something like that, and I couldn't make it. I says, I'm taking advantage of this one.
I gotcha. I don't know if I have any classes to start at 4 o'clock. God, I hope I
For
don't.
3 o'clock, I don't know. Whatever time it was too late for me. So I'm doing this one here, and it's not that I go to bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and all, but I had to work. But anyway, I'm here, and I'm ready to learn.
Okay. I'm going to tag a few folks in the thread. I'm going to give it just another minute. Just
Not a problem.
In case we got some more folks coming.
I'm going to be getting with you here soon about, I got a few other things about doing a listing presentation on Zoom with, presentation pages that come up and different things like that. I know you can help me on that.
Presentation pages.
Just like, I don't know how you want to call it. Geez, oh, Pete.
Like a listing presentation, buying consultation, that kind of thing.
Different, things like that. But where you can have visuals that people can look at as you're going through the presentation, you talk and so on and so forth.
Sure.
Like, you do like you're doing here with this. That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Good deal. Oh, we got Mr. Clearfield with us today as well. Very good. How's it going, Mike?
Good,
here comes. Here they come. See, Darryl, all we had to do was just wait a second, right?
Yeah, no. Everybody's late. I hope these people don't end up going to their clients 5 minutes late, because
whoa, this about to be a roast. Whoa, man. Let's go ahead. It's Friday. Let's go ahead and just pour a drink then. Cheers to that. We're gonna do you guys thought you're coming to Docusign class? No, sir. This is a roast. We got Darryl on the dais.
I couldn't help that one. That was a good,
that was funny.
Good segue.
That was funny.
That's fine.
All right. So
that was my excuse.
Hey. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to quickly talk about Docusign. I also wanted to record this class. Here comes Mr. Crow as well joining us today.
Hello, Edward.
Hello, Edward. How are we? So I wanted to record this one as well today because this is going to be the most up-to-date and current information on Docusign. Over the 2-3 months that we have been teaching this class, I have made corrections to some of my material. I don't know that the most recent one is bad or anything like that, but if you came to one of the earlier courses, some of the material that I covered in that course, I would not recommend following some of that information. So today is we're going to be recording this session. We're streaming it to Facebook Live as well for anyone else. So if you're watching from the future, hello from the future. Welcome to Docusign class. Hello from the past, I should say. Excuse me. But we're going to talk about Docusign. That all starts inside of Command. So I want to go ahead and get us all logged into Command. Now, I know that probably everybody here has some of the simple basics already installed, but I just want to go ahead and point just a couple of things that we are going to check just in case, especially if you're watching from the future. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that when we get logged into Command at agent.kw.com, we are going to go to our name and we are going to click Settings. For those of you that are on Teams and thinking about team accounts and things of that nature, that is not going to be relevant to what we're doing here, so no worries about that, and there will be no team confusion or anything. Hey, Kim, how are you? Thank you.
Is there anything else I have to do separately if I am on a team, Evan?
Do what?
Is there anything different I need to do as
no?
Okay.
No, not at all. Yeah. That's the point I want to get. It's a good question to clarify. What I mean by that is whether you're on a team or not, none of that should matter. We should all be able to get into application settings and see that in Docusign here. Let me get my annotation tools. This should be connected right here, right? We should be all set to go. We shouldn't have any issues there. Is there anybody in class today that does not have that connected there? If so, let me know in the chat and I will shoot you a link to some videos to watch to go through the process. Please do not, if you are watching this from the future, here they all come. If you are watching this from the future, please do not go to Docusign directly to create your Docusign account, okay? Do not go to Docusign directly to create your Docusign account. You must follow the step-by-step. There's a video I can send you, or you can go to answers.kw.com, a link I can send you. If you're in the boat right now where you don't have a Docusign account, please let me know in an email, and I'll shoot you those resources. I don't want to cover that material today for this class. I do want to get right into the action. So if that is you, please forgive me and just follow along. Welcome. Who all has joined us now? We've got Kim, Perry, Candy Kapanka, good to see ya. Good to see all you guys. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to head over into opportunities, because that's where DocuSign is going to be housed inside of Command. So there are two main ways to access your DocuSign account once you've got it set up and hooked into Command. You can go to, I'm going to ask that we keep those mics muted if we can. I appreciate y'all. There's two ways to access your DocuSign account. Mainly, you can go to DocuSign.com, which is great. You can go there and access just like you did with .loop, right? That being said, when you're creating a room, you really want to get in the habit of using your opportunity section of Command as your transaction management tool, right? When we create rooms inside of our opportunities, those rooms are going to be attached to those opportunities, meaning you can always go back to them. You could think of DocuSign as a clever little add-on to an opportunity that lets you get paperwork done. And we're going to do that today because we're going to go ahead and just make a quick test opportunity. We're going to create opportunity. And I'm just going to call this one a listing opportunity. We're going to call this 1234 Main Street. And I'm going to put a little hyphen there. Evans Tess Marcus, God rest his soul, has been dealing with me doing all the DocuSign training in his account. So actually, really, I should say Emily DeForge, there's admin over there, has been dealing with all of my extra crazy opportunities that I make. I'm going to give it an estimated list price of 500, missionary 3, and then put my client in there. All right.
So this is just all information that your client that you're going to be doing your DocuSign for.
Daryl, you were cutting out just a little bit. I don't know if it's on my end or yours, but could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
This information you're putting in to create the opportunity. That's all the information of your client that you want the document signed.
Yeah, so you're going to add, so what it's doing is it's going to look, so what I'm doing here, I didn't want to use one of his actual contacts. I just double thought that. I'm adding myself to his database. So this would be your regular contact entry that you'd have for that person. So name, phone number, email. And then when I go into opportunities, I'm going to create this opportunity. I know the opportunity details, right? What I'm doing here is I'm just making up some information really quick to get us into DocuSign faster. But our opportunity, right, is a potential or current piece of business. So in this case, let's say the client is me and I'm in his database, so he can add me to the opportunity. What it's going to do, Daryl, is it's going to take the information from my contact record. It's going to copy it into DocuSign when we go to make a room, right? Whoa. Must have clicked something. I'm going to give it the address of 1234 Main Street. And I'm giving it an estimated listing price of 500 and a commission rate of 3%. These details, some of them copy over into DocuSign. Some of them are more just for the features of opportunities themselves. This is enough information to get us a opportunity rocking and rolling, which is really what I want to cover today, is just getting right into the opportunity to where we are able to go into the documents section. Okay, I'm going to give everybody a chance to catch up, but just so you're aware what we did, you can do this with an existing opportunity, or you could make a new one like I did, but I want us all to get into an opportunity and over to the documents section. I'm going to give everybody a second to get to that, and feel free to hit up the chat or just say something into your microphone and let me know if you're not sure what to do, how to get to this screen.
Can I ask you a quick question about that real quick though?
Yeah, brother.
So with the opportunities to create in Command, every time you make a new offer on a different property, you have to make a new opportunity. Is that correct?
No, I would not recommend that. Yeah. So an opportunity, it's very literal, right? So you have a buying opportunity with a client, right? If your offer got declined, you haven't lost the opportunity to purchase with that client, right? You just had an offer that got rejected. That's all there is to it. you're still going to maintain that same DocuSign room and that same opportunity. And all you got to do is just change the form information and re-sign things for the next offer, and you're going to be fine. You can archive or move things away. They got rejected and aren't relevant anymore. The other scenario that you might be thinking of, Mike, and this is a good question. This is a listing opportunity is what we're saying for this particular one on screen. Let's say I got something under contract and I got everything in here. And then for whatever reason, that contract fell through, right? Last second, it didn't appraise. Oh no, right? We were approved and everything looked really good. And kind of in that same vein of how I answered your question, we didn't lose the listing opportunity, right? We just lost that contract.
Right.
So what would happen here is I would come here and make a new version of the under contract folder.
Okay.
And what that would let me do is be able to have a reset on the compliance, be able to enter the new forms in as I do those. And I would still have the ability to swap back and look at the old paperwork. It's still there. It's still part of the opportunity. It's just no longer the primary folder, right? Because it fell through. But you still want to hold on to that documentation, right? You never know when this stuff might come up for any kind of legal reason. So you don't want to delete anything or remove anything. And so Command's kind of built to let you go, okay, well, you lost the deal. No big deal. You still have the listing. Just make a new version for under contract. Because at the same time, your listed folder is not going to change very much, right?
Right. I guess
That's the same stuff.
My question was because I'm doing one actually, right? Like as we speak, I'm writing an offer for a purchase.
Great.
And so when I went to try to open the DocuSign room, it went into that old opportunity, and I didn't know how to get rid of that old one to start a new envelope or a new like room basically under that same person. So I had to delete their old opportunity, recreate it, then I could start a new brand new transaction.
I don't know that you needed to do all that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna walk through this material here real quick. Let me know you think about this because I don't know that you needed to create a new room.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. You can if you want to, and if you do want to create a new room, yeah, you're going to have to make another opportunity, right? I don't know that you need to do that though, but we'll look into that and we'll see if there might be something you're seeing that I'm not, right? And we'll look at that when this comes up. But was everybody able to get to the document section of an opportunity so we can get rocking and rolling? I'm seeing some nods. I got some folks with their cameras off. Any kind of other feedback you can give? I know visual won't work with the camera not on.
Well, I tell you, I'm having some difficulties trying to get my screen down so I can get into the command. I can't get out. Your screen is taking up my whole screen and I have no control over my
Okay, so
computer.
at the bottom, there is Ashley, you know how to get into windowed mode on a screen share from the viewer perspective? It's hard for me to explain it because I don't see the interface on my end.
I think you want to, up at the top, it says view options next to you are viewing Evan Ransom's screen.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
then-
the view option button.
And then you'll click exit full screen or something like that.
That's
It'll
it.
say-
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ashley. I always forget the exact like words things are called, and then I don't see what y'all are seeing on my end because I'm the one sharing. So I always, my brain always malfunctions when I hear that question. But yeah, Beryl, you should be able to pop the that into a window, and then you'll be able to move me around. Okay.
Okay. Well, she's repeat again. It's not doing exactly what it is I should want it to do, I guess. I don't know. No, I don't know what. All I got is a big hand in front of me now. It's just moving around. I don't know what to do. This is nuts.
Big
You're really expanded on my screen.
Daryl, I might that might be something you and I can look at together sometime and see kind of what you're clicking on there because there's not a really good way for me to tell what you're seeing. In the meantime,
I'm seeing the dot loop stuff that you have where it's it's open and all that, or the rooms or whatever you want to call it, the opportunity section here, but I have no control over. And when I'm moving my mouse around, I have a big hand instead of having an arrow.
I don't know off the top of my head. At the top there was the view options, and you could exit full screen, and that would take me off of your full screen.
Yeah, it puts you into a little tiny narrow screen. God, I hate this.
Daryl, well, you and I are going to do really soon, and I promise we're going to do this together, bud. We're going to buy a second monitor for you. I think 2 monitors is going to clear up a lot of that issue for you. In the meantime, though, bud, I do got to keep moving just because we're on a time
Go for it.
we're on a time limit here. So I'm going to looking at this real quick, and this is for those watching in the future that are new to DocuSign. A lot of people get to this point and they're looking at these lists of documents and wondering how to edit these. I want to make something just real crystal clear. This part right here is actually your compliance checklist. I get a lot of people asking for a document of the checklist. What you're looking at right here is that checklist, right? So we see confirmation of agency at the top. It's required. Exclusive right to sell listing agreement. It's conditionally required. And then here's the condition upon which it is required. Property condition disclosure condition. So all of that, you actually get more information just by looking at the document section of an opportunity than you do in just a little checklist, PDF that's printed out. So just bear that in mind. This is that checklist. That being said, though, this is not where you're going to edit your documents. This is actually where documents go when they're done. So we're actually looking at the finish line before we even get to the part where we're in the race. Where we're going to actually get the documents taken care of is on this start a transaction button right here. Now, if your DocuSign account is connected in Command, you will see this button, right? If you don't see a start a transaction button, that means your DocuSign account's not connected or there's something wrong with that connection. You'll need to go back to settings from earlier and have a look. But we're going to click start a transaction. Marcus's account happens to have his old .loop account still hooked up to it, so it's giving him the option. But if you have a choice between 2, please select DocuSign for this, right? Because that is what we're covering today. It is DocuSign class after all. So we're going to hit DocuSign. And it's going to spin a little bit. It might spit out a new window. A couple of different things might happen, or you'll just see this now go to transaction button. If you click that, it'll take you right over to DocuSign 2. You're going to sign in to the account that you have hooked up to Command. And it's going to pull you into the room. So this DocuSign room was created. Now I'm just going to close out of the window just to show this. If I ever want to go back to that DocuSign room, I can now go to DocuSign.com and find it, or I can just pull up the opportunity and click Go to Transaction. And that's going to take me right back to where I just was, inside the DocuSign room. So this is where we're going to fill our paperwork out. Now, the second part of setup that comes with DocuSign is verifying your TAR membership. Right now, I don't want to use the time in this class because I know we're limited on time. I don't want to go into the details of that. If that's you, if you cannot find any TAR documents, right, please shoot me an email. There's a video you need to watch, right? There's a video. It takes 5 minutes, but you're basically going to come into your preferences and you're going to look in this integration section down here at the bottom, and you're going to make sure that your membership with TAR is adequately filled out and saved here, okay? I do not like this message I'm seeing. We're going to see. We're going to hopefully I can do this in this class today. It's going to be really funny if I do not have TAR documents right now. I'm going to be calling Ashley and being like, give me your login really quick, please.
I have the same message on mine.
Justin's is showing that too.
Okay, well, we're about to find out if we can still get forms. I'm just going to look at something real quick. We're all set. Okay, no worries. Okay, the forms are there. Okay. So from this point forward, for those watching in the future, we're at the spot now where your setup with DocuSign is done. You've got your account created through the steps in the video. You've logged into your account. You've set up your TAR membership and verified it. And now you're ready to actually get work done, because from this point forward, you never have to do those steps again, right? From this point forward, you're operating day to day. So let's look and get a little bit familiar with what we have on the real estate of the screen here. We've got, one moment. Sorry, I didn't realize you were joking. All right. So let's look at what we have here. So I've drawn a red box around this little navigation bar. And if you ever came to my old dot loop classes of yore, does anybody remember what I always said the first thing you should do when you get into your transaction? Kim Beal would know. Oh, Kim Beal is not on our camera. Kim Beal would know. It's the details button. I love to go over to the details button first and foremost, just to do a couple of things, little housekeepings. I like to know things like I probably know the address for this if I'm actually writing this contract, right? And I'm going to go ahead and put an address in by clicking the edit button. And now I can interact with what we have here on screen. And for location for the property address, I'm going to put in, we'll just do that. So I've got address, city, state, zip. That is not the right county. And zip code. Very good. And then I'm just going to hit save. Also, notice on the right-hand side of details, there's seller one with some information already there. And this is the information that just came over from command, by the way. You'll notice I didn't type any of that in. And then over in listing agent, because this was a listing opportunity, it took Marcus's information from his KW profile and went ahead and put it as listing agent one because he would be the listing agent on the listing opportunity, right? So that information's been filled in for him automatically. There are also other things that you can go ahead and fill in. That being said, you don't have to fill in every single detail. In fact, you're probably not going to be able to because there's going to be a lot of details that you don't quite know yet, right? Especially if you're listing. We don't know what the purchase price is yet. There's no offers, right? I'm going to leave the rest of it blank, but just know that you can edit and type in anything you want into these things and hit save, okay? I always recommend going to details first because details is what's going to empower our autofill. And unlike in dot loop, it doesn't prompt you to do autofill. Docusign's just always autofilling in its forms, okay? Forms and details are basically always in sync with one another inside Docusign. Before I get to adding a document, I do want to point out a couple of things. If you're used to using dot loop, you'll notice there's a people section right here. And if you click on that people section, it's not going to show your client's information. And in fact, it's going to show the office's information. You're going to be like, well, hold on. Do I got to add my people to this room? You do not. It's not important. This people section is actually not the same as it is in dot loop. This is who has access to the room, right? And what permissions they might have. I typically leave it alone altogether. What really matters is in the details section, these roles have their information filled in, right? That's going to be more important. So if for whatever reason you forgot that Evan Ransom had a wife and you want to include my wife, you could edit in and type in her information.
Hey, Evan,
Yes, ma'am.
do you know why, for some reason, mine came through with seller one as Justin and not, I put it under me.
Seller one would have been the client of the transaction. So I don't know why yours would have shown that, but we can look at that. I haven't heard of those roles getting mixed up before. I haven't seen it. So I'll have to look and see how we got
I'll
it set up.
test it again later, and then if I keep having trouble, I'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and let's look at it together for sure, because if there is a bug, we should report it. Okay. So the people section in Docusign, not nearly as important, but let's get on right into the document section because we're here to talk about filling out forms, right? And documents is where you're going to fill out your forms at. If you had originally watched any of my original Docusign training, you may have heard me say something quite to the opposite effect, where I was like, hey, we're going to do all the work in envelopes. And this class, and why I'm recording this class and why I'm streaming this class, is because this is the official correction on this, okay? We are going to be filling out our documents inside of the documents section, right? And that is going to be important. Templates, or not templates, excuse me, envelopes are where we're going to go when we're done filling them out and we want to get them signed. So if you're thinking from the dot loop perspective at all, envelopes is basically the save and share button, right? And you don't hit save and share in dot loop until you're done, right? Same concept here. We're not going to make our envelope and put documents in it until we're done with those documents, filling them out, right? So same exact concept. When you think of envelopes, it's quite literally just a more advanced save and share button. Okay. So let's add some documents to the room. I always click the add button that is located right here. This add button is the one you want to use. So I'm going to click add, and I have several options. I can upload from my computer. I can upload from a cloud storage thing that I might have. Zip forms, we're going to completely ignore because we don't have a relationship with zip forms in the state of Tennessee. Okay. If you are trying to write a document, right, type something up, you're always going to pull from Docusign forms. Okay. Docusign forms. And when you click Docusign forms, you should see this little window pop up with 2 drop downs. The first one's asking, okay, are we looking in libraries or groups? And then the second one is, okay, which library or which group are you wanting to look into? Library.
What is the difference, Evan?
There is a big difference. So library is essentially all the libraries that you have access to. So in Marcus's case, he has access to Market Center forms, which are forms that are specific that we wrote and we have. He's got Market Center forms from a different Market Center that he happens to be a part of. And then there's the TAR forms, which are all of the Tennessee Association of Realtor forms that we use all our contract documents on. Typically, I only go into like the TAR library if I'm looking for something very specific, because for the most part, this is every single TAR form. It's not really useful for me if I'm just trying to go grab an offer real quick and get a purchase package together, because in groups, instead of picking from libraries, we're going to pick from our broker packs, right? And for those that are used to dotloop, these are the very same broker packs, right? We have them pretty much set up the exact same way. You'll see on this screen, he has this TAR buyer most used and listing most used. You probably won't see that on your screen. I think that's from a different market center that he happens to be a part of. You should see just the 2020 broker packs and then COVID, right? You should see COVID in there. I'm going to, because this is a listing opportunity in a listing room, I'm going to pull from the listing pack, because in the listing pack, I'm going to see a combination of forms from different libraries that are specific for listing a house, right? So this is like basically my short list of all the things I might need to list a home, right, in the listing pack. If I was working with new construction, I have all the forms that I might need to use in a new construction scenario, right?
So all these forms that we have there on the TAR form section, they've all been put together in groups, like you're showing here, where the listing group and the buying group and,
Precisely.
or sales group. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So the groups is something that we put together, and we just organize some forms for you and say, hey, you're going to need these, right? All right. So I'm going to grab just one. You can select more than one if you would like to, but I'm just going to select one for class, which is the exclusive right to sell listing agreement, designated agency, good old TARF 101, right? So I've selected it here, and I'm going to hit add. And that's going to add that form to my room. So we've got our first document in our room. And we're going to, I want to point out something that I'm going to come back to later, but notice the little form icon here. Just notice that little form icon. I'm going to come back and mention why that's important later, but this is indicating that this is a form, and a form has the following qualities. One, I can fill out forms. There's text boxes that are ready for me to go, and I can use them, and they can be auto-filled. This is where I'm typing my documents up at. Another thing about forms is they will never have signatures on them. They will never have signatures on them, right? So if you're used to dotloop, that's kind of where the difference is dotloop sandwiches the signatures into forms. And here, all signatures are handled in envelopes. And we'll talk about what happens in that process throughout this class. But I'm going to open this form by just clicking on it. And it's going to pop up. And we're going to see absolutely no red boxes. For those of you that fought with me on that, I appreciate you. So already we've seen some details fill in automatically, right? So these are things that we did in details, right? just to kind of showing that off. So broker was already established. The address of company is already here. The owner is seller one's name, and then the property address is what we typed in. So that stuff is already filled in automatically. But I'm going to point out something else as well. If you hold your mouse over any of the text boxes, so right here, I'm holding it over the 1404 John Ridge Drive, it says optional room.property.location.address1, right? Every single field has a different detail that it's saving that information to, right? And where that comes in really handy is that it's updating details on the back end of this room so that when I open up my next form, I've got even more stuff auto-filled, right? So I'm only really ever having to type in stuff one time. That's the idea here. So the first one, I probably have a bit of typing to do if I didn't put it all in details. But once I save it, it's going to remember it. So I'm going to put in listing price here of like $345. Great. Listing date. We'll just say 1st of... Give me a nice 6 month there, because I'm all right. Other thing to make note of. You'll see this spot is blank. A lot of people that freak out on this right here. And the reason that is because you can just type into it and now it's there and it's on every single page, on every single document for the rest of this room. So you really have to type it in one time. The reason why it's not automatically just in there on the front end is because Docusign, when I pull this form out of Docusign, it is going to put my name right here. It's just not in that line, but they put that here because that's a national standard. In Tennessee, we have this very specific line that we like to have our name on, right? So to fix that, just type your name in once. It'll fill in on every single document for the remainder of the room.
Evan, real quick, at the top here, it says Register of Deeds Office, deed book, and all that good stuff. Doesn't that automatically fill in, or that has to be, that's something that you have to actually, us agents have to fill that in. We have to look that up.
You got to know it for sure. Yeah, Docusign is not going to know what the deeds office and deed book pages are. You're going to have to know that information from the tax record. You can put it in details in the detail section so it'll autofill for you, but you do have to tell it that information. Yeah.
Okay, so this is not picking up information from the tax records then, is what you're saying?
No. It's picking up information from command that I gave it, and it's picking up information that I then gave it when I got into it.
Could you put that tax information in command and then it would auto-populate?
I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head, but I'm happy to look into that for you.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. My
Evan?
gut instinct tells me no, but go ahead, Kim.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine.
So we have no control over the font size in forms, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So when I am doing my tax ID, parcel ID, neighborhood description, blah, 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 it's running off the edge of the box. Is there any fix for that?
Not right now that I'm aware of. No.
Okay.
I know that it will like what it'll do is it'll auto size the box. But it doesn't, there's no changing the actual font or size of the font. If you're in a situation where like what you want to type in here just straight up won't fit and it's like nothing you can do about it, if that happens to you, just don't type it in here. We'll add it in the envelope.
Okay, that was my
Right.
workaround. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the current workaround on that while we work that out. Okay. So I'm just putting in some things. This is obviously, for those watching from the future, this is not how you should write a contract. What Evan is doing, never take his advice on how to write a contract, please and thank you. I am not a real estate agent, nor broker, nor attorney, nor home inspector, nor any of the other fun things. Please sign my disclaimer. Thank you. But you'll come down to the bottom and you will notice, again, I'm just going to mention there's no signature fields here. That's because we're not going to do that here. We're going to do that in envelopes. for those, a quick update for those that noticed before that stipulations would cross over into multiple forms, which would have been inappropriate considering that special stipulations on different forms do refer to different things. You will note that that has been fixed. What we noticed was that the detail here was, it said, I keep pointing at the screen like you guys can see where I'm pointing, but it's an old habit that'll never die. Listing agreement stipulations is the detail. It used to just be called special stipulations, and all of them shared it. So that's why it would update and share across multiple forms. There is no other form that has listing agreement stipulations, so you're safe to fill that out without having to worry about going into the envelope or anything like that. You're good to go. That has been addressed. I'm going to go ahead and save and close this. And one thing I'm going to point out is that when I save and close, any of the things that I typed in here are going to automatically update details in the back end, right? So everything in this that I saved, all of those values that had corresponding details to them just updated, right? So if I come in the details now.
When you say the back end, what do you mean by that?
I mean this detail section over here. So I'm moving back over into details,
Okay.
and you'll notice now there's a listing date and a listing expiration date and an original listing amount. And if any of these fields are reused in other forms, they will go ahead and fill that in automatically. You will also note that you're not going to find every single detail that a form has in this detail sheet. Some are hidden. And the reason for that is how many fields are there in TAR forms? There's quite a bit. That would be very excessive if it was all on this one screen here. So some of them are just kind of hidden. That being said, though, some of the more obvious ones are here, right? But they are all saving. Okay, so I'm going to be a real lazy realtor today. I'm not going to get any of my disclosures taken care of. I'm just going to do this one form. Just going to get the listing agreement done. And if this person signs it, then you know what? Great. Then we'll get disclosures signed. That's the attitude I'm taking right now. We're doing one form at a time. Everything that I'm doing, by the way, step by step here, everything I'm doing, anytime you see me pick one form for an action, just know that you can do multiple forms at the same time. I'm just not doing it. We're now going to head into the envelope section. So we've filled out our document. We're all good to go. And so now it's time to electronically sign some documents. Let's get this rocking and rolling by creating our first envelope. So we're in the envelope section. We are clicking new. And so this right here is basically just a more advanced version of the save and share button. Save and share button .loop looks a little bit like Google Drive. Docusign looks a little bit more like, hey, you're literally filling an envelope and taking it to their house, right? It's kind of a more literal translation to it. So envelope name, this is just for my own personal organization. Please bear in mind, though, people do see envelope names, so keep them appropriate, of course. So we're going to say this seller is a jerk. I'm kidding. You would never do that, right? You would never do that.
Oh, come on. You take the fun out of it all.
Exclusive right to sell only in this envelope, right? Okay, that's all I'm putting in this envelope. Once you have created a document, you cannot, or created an envelope, you cannot delete it. But that doesn't mean it's like this permanent thing that's going to follow you around forever. It just means you might have an unfinished envelope laying around. If you decided from this point, I made a mistake and need to go back, you'll make a new envelope. It's okay.
What happens to that old envelope?
It just sits there as a draft forever.
You can't. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a draft. It just sits there. You typically aren't going to be sitting around looking at envelopes, right? You're typically going to be looking at your documents. So your envelopes will just be in the background there. So we have multiple ways to add a document to an envelope. The primary way for things that we typed up is going to be our room docs, because that's where our form is. That being said, if Kim were to had sent me an offer, right, via email on my property, I could just upload it right here and go ahead and get a signing thing going. But I'm going to pull from room docs, and I am going to use the form, the listing agreement that I had just typed out. So we're adding that form right here. Again, we can use more than one document. I'm just doing one at a time for fun's sake. I will probably repeat that 3 or 4 more times. Please forgive me. Now we're going to add recipients to the envelope, and this part's important, okay? So when you are pulling in forms that are or when you're pulling in documents into your envelope that are forms that you got from the Docusign library, right, where you got them from our form groups, if it's something that you filled out, chances are when you hit add recipient, actually, it's not chances are, there definitely will be an option called pre-tagged roles on add recipient. This is what you want to use 99.9999999% of the time. Pre-tagged roles. Very, very useful. Because pre-tagged roles, like listing broker, seller 1, seller 2, and listing agent, Docusign knows where these people should sign or what things they need to fill out. And they already have that prepared for you. So in this case, I'm just going to do seller 1, and I'm going to pick, again, right from the detail section. There's Evan Ransom right there. Boom. I can go ahead and just assign it. If for whatever reason you had forgotten to add the person to that section, you could still just add seller 2 and leave it blank. It's not a big deal, right? You can add them in there. I'm going to hit add selected. You would also at this point typically want to add yourself to the room. That being said, Marcus is on vacation and I don't want to hit him up with some DocuSign emails today. So we're just going to pretend that Marcus is also in these recipients here. So seller 2. So if I had forgotten at this point, I just realized, oh my gosh, Evan has a wife. I'm still able to go ahead and add that person right here just by typing it in. No big deal.
And that'll automatically go into the other documents. It'll incorporate it into the ones that you had made out previously.
No, not quite. So this is we are now, once we get into an envelope, we're basically on a different island, essentially.
Okay.
So what happened to that form when we hit add room documents, what it did is it made a copy of that document and put it in here as a flat PDF. So you'll see it's no longer editable at this point. Right? It took a copy of it and put it in here. So that form still exists over there. Nothing I do over here is going to go back and talk to those forms. This is all I'm trying to get things signed. So I'm not going to put anybody in for seller 2 right now. I just want to keep this simple. Seller 1 and buyer 1 are particularly important fields because, or pre-tagged roles, because when you have documents where they must do something, namely our property condition disclosure is the big one. Seller 1 is the pre-tagged role that has all that stuff where they can go ahead and fill it out. If you were to come in here, hit add recipient and type in email address and then put your seller 1 in there and then go to send, you'll get next and you'll realize that you got to put in all these check boxes and all this crap. And it's like, oh my God, this is going to take an hour. Are you kidding me? Right? No. Just use pre-tagged role. Seller 1, which you should make the person, whoever is like most responsive and most capable of doing it. They'll be able to fill out everything in there. It'll already be there for them. Right?
And then the seller 2 is the one that would be signing it after, but only one person needs to fill out all the information.
Right. Only one person's going to have everybody's going to have a signature field, right, where it needs to go. But seller 1 will be the one that has all the, if they have to fill out a property condition disclosure, seller 1 will be the one that's assigned all those fields.
So you said it'll auto-populate now all the signature and all those fields into the document without having to add any of those?
That's correct.
Oh, because I thought the last training we did was you had to put in each individual one, or is this, or am I just been doing something wrong?
Tell me your understanding again real quick.
So maybe I haven't been designating who the people are because I've had to go in and like click on every section of each document and be like, I need a signature here from this person, a signature from this person.
That's because you're not using pre-tagged roles.
Okay.
Yeah. So pre-tagged roles has the fields in the documents where they can interact. If you don't use pre-tagged roles, yeah, you will have to go in and put them in there, right? Or if, like in the scenario I just said before, if Kim sends me an offer, well, there is no pre-tagged roles for stuff agents send me, right? This is only for forms that came out of the Docusign library. So if it's something that Kim sent me, yeah, I would still have to do it by email address and then go and add those forms in where they need to go, or add those fields in where they need to go. Now we have the same case in .loop too, right? .loop doesn't know what PDF you just added to it. You have to go in and add the signature fields and say who's signing. Same concept here, except in here in DocuSign, pre-tagged roles is the function that has those fields saved where they need to go. You're about to see it here in a second, because what I'm going to do next is do the email, this is just the email. Hey, bud, sign this thing. You know what to do. This is a very professional email. Okay. And we are going to go ahead. And this is a spot where everybody stops and calls me. This is the spot where everybody stops and calls me. And they go, oh my God, Evan, I didn't sign this thing yet. And I'll go, that is correct. Right. Don't be afraid to go ahead and just hit that next button, because the next button is going to take us to where we finalize everything and actually send, right? So in this case, I only put one person in this envelope, and that was seller one. So we're not going to see Marcus's signature field here. But if I come all the way down, I'll see that seller one where they sign is good to go. It's already in there and it's in place.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Kim, to answer a question. Oh, go ahead, Mike. Mike, I'm sorry.
I was just saying that I've been doing it way wrong, because I've literally gone through every single document and put in those things by myself.
Oh, that hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I messed up something, I had to redo. Like I missed
the whole thing.
I had to delete the whole thing. Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Evan,
the
I have a
idea-
question.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that Candy?
Yeah, sorry, have I messed
Hey.
up?
No, I mean, yeah.
So my problem was when I was trying to send something over to my clients, that's the agents, their clients. I didn't want to put their email addresses in, so I just put the agent's address in to send it. Do you know what I mean? Trying to get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it that way. So I had a philosophy that I had in Dotloop, and I've retained that philosophy in Docusign. Me and my transaction manager is between me, my clients, and the office, right? I'm not really putting anybody else in there or doing anything with anybody else in there. The other agent on the cooperating, they have their own transaction management software that they know how to operate. I'm hoping they're all big boys and girls. They can do that. Every now and again, yes, you will come across someone that's just like, I don't know how to use my Dotloop account. And then you have to roll your eyes and go, great, this is going to be a long transaction. That does happen, yes. And yet, for the most part, when you email them a document when it's done and it just needs their party stuff on it, they'll be able to do that on their own and then send you an email back with the completed stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. And in Dotloop, I was really big about it because Dotloop used to have this horribly annoying feature where if you like sent me a loop, it would create that loop for me in my account, and we all name our loops the same, which is the address. And now I got two loops, and one of them's mine and one of them's yours. And I used to freak out about that. There's a reason I did not stay in C2C very long. I was not a patient person. So DocuSign, it's a little bit more straightforward because you'd think, go ahead and add them to the envelope. And if you wanted to, Candy, you could add the other agent as gets a copy at the end. And that way it would automatically, after your client signed, just send them an email of the completed document. That way you don't have to write the email. You could do that. That would be fine. Or you could just wait for it to get done, download an email as attachment, whichever way works best for you. I'm a big fan of just doing things by standard email as much as I can, because if this ever were to go to court for some reason, I'm a much bigger fan of being like, well, the email record is right here. And we all know what email records are. Don't have to explain to a judge what Dotloop is, that kind of stuff.
Great, thanks.
Yep. Okay, Kim, to answer your concern that you had. So let's say you wanted to now add a text field. Now notice on this envelope, I only have the seller as a role here, and that's kind of okay with this, because if you want them to see what you've written, that field must be assigned to them. Like if you were to go in and put, oh, well, Kim, and then do that and then put text and type in there, when they get the copy of it to sign, they're not going to see what you put. It's got to be assigned to them. So just go, hey, to the seller one, and then type your text in and go, all right, let's do the deed stuff here, because in here we can do formatting, we can do text size, we can do all that good stuff. If you do that as well, make sure you also make that field read only so that they're not able to edit it in any way, because they might get confused, think they're supposed to do something. You know how it goes, right? Just make it where they can't possibly type anything in there. And then you can type in whatever you want, make it whatever size you want, down to 7. You get the idea.
While you were on that screen, is there any way to make this not default to the command is something like must read or something, the red box, not the red box controversy from.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there a way to get rid of that? So
To get rid of what exactly? What are we
Yeah,
asking?
so pretend you need to put a text field in somewhere. Doesn't matter where.
Let's say I forgot that, oh my gosh, items do not remain with the property, that hideous chair.
Right. Now see go up just a little bit from where you're typing.
Uh-huh.
Required field. Is there a way that we can default to not having that checked?
No, not a way to default it. No, just you got to remember to hit it. You got to come in here and click read only anyway, so you might as well just give it both a click. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You don't want to mess with the required stuff too terribly much because, especially on like things like the PCD, there are certain fields that are required that you want to keep that way because it's gonna tell them when they go to sign that, hey, you haven't finished. I know we've all had that fun conversation with the seller. We're like, all right, fill the PCD up. That's great. You got the first page. Nice work. Let's go back again and do the rest. Yeah.
So as I'm filling this out, I should be acting as if I am the seller, not myself. Is that correct?
I wouldn't quite say that. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite say that. You're designing their experience, right? In this case, it's really simple. Their experience is sign. That's it, right? You're just coordinating that. PCD, it's like you're coordinating their whole. They got to do all that stuff, but all of it's done for you already, so you don't have to do it. Yeah. Hopefully, you don't have to do a whole lot of editing in the envelope section, right? If you find yourself doing a lot in the envelope section, chances are you're probably not filling your contracts out, right? We probably need to go back and look at that, right? Because at this point, we should be pretty much ready to go. The only thing we should be needing to do at this point is get signatures, right? If we've gotten this far. If we got here, though, and we realized, oh, my gosh, my name is spelled wrong at the bottom of the form, that's embarrassing. Yeah, we would have to go back out, edit that form, make a new envelope. Yes, you would have to do that. But this is just essentially, this is essentially last call for proofing. That's all this is supposed to be. And then we hit send, and it goes, right?
How would you know the difference between the old envelope and the new envelope that you had to make updates on?
They have names. You can name them whatever you'd like. You'd say, hey, this one's the new one.
Okay.
Right? You could say new or final or
such and such address new.
Yeah, and you could open the old envelope up and say, hey, ignore this, and then save that with its name too if you wanted to. Yeah.
Okay. You can change the name on it.
Yes, absolutely. You give them all names. Yeah. All right. So we're going to hit send. Is it urgent, my friend?
No, I'm just observing.
Oh, good deal. Love that. All right. So we're going to hit send, and that's going to send this document off. Okay. Now, if you notice how I didn't put Marcus in this, so we didn't really see the agent experience at this point. If you're the agent, you're also in the envelope. Remember, you're giving yourself a pre-tagged role. And at that point, it would say here, waiting on you to sign. And you just click here and click. There'd be a sign button here. And you just click it, and then you can sign it. Okay. I didn't put a listing agent in this envelope, so that doesn't happen here, right? So we see here, though, that he's got need to sign, and then I'm going to get the email. Let's just pull that up. I think I put my personal email in. That was stupid. The password on that account is like 35 million characters. Not to flex or anything. Okay, cool. So I got the email. I'm going to sign it. And just like in Docusign, where were we? Here. Okay, so I'm going to review the document. That's pulling it up. So just like in Dotloop, we'll also see, I agree, continue. Don't know how fast it is. Okay, normally it pulls up and it says they've viewed it. I don't know how quick that is. I'm not able to replicate it this very moment. But I'm going to go ahead and sign it, finish it. It's going to ask me to log in. I'm going to say no. Okay, whatever. So the client has signed the document. It takes it a little bit of a second to get that signature. Okay, there it goes. Boom, signed, right? Just going to do this. This is still saying waiting on others. Okay. I don't know why that still is blue. Normally that turns green. I think it just takes a second. But we'll see in documents, though, that now we have a couple of things in here. Okay. So I signed it as the client. When the document finishes the envelope process, and only then will the documents then go into the document section. Okay. If you signed it and seller 1 signed it, but you're still waiting on seller 2, you won't find the signed document in here. You'll have to go into the envelope and you'll be able to see the you hit view documents, so you can download it if you need to, right? It'll still be there, but it only gets into the document section when it's finished. Everyone's done everything they're supposed to do in it. Does that make sense the way I'm phrasing that? It's hard to show off every little example. But let's just say we were missing 1 signature, but everybody else had signed. Well, I'd still be able to go into the envelope and pull up the document and see all the signatures and download that version if I needed to, right? I could also hit the resend button. It would only send to the people that haven't finished their actions, right? So I still have that ability too. But once everyone has signed everything, we go in the document section and we are going to see that there is now, now we have 2 extra forms in here, right? Let's talk about these, because this is the part where, remember earlier when I was saying, hey, remember this little blue box right here, right? This is actually important. This is where we're going to bring this up. So what happened is the signed document is now here. This is what went through the envelope, right? And a signed document is a little bit different from a form because we can't edit this at all, but it does have the signature from the envelope. That's our final version, right? But I can't edit it anymore. In .loop, you could still edit forms that had signatures, but what would it do? It would kick out all their signatures. You had to start over. Like, oh no, I accidentally did that. In Docusign, there's no chance of that happening because you straight up cannot edit a signed form, period. Right? The form is still here. This is what we originally typed up. And what did I say was the quality of forms? You can always edit them and they'll never have signatures on them. So if I discover at this point, let's say it was an offer, right? And we sent it to the agent and the agent was like, oh, hold on. No. Can you actually change it to where they've got a longer expiration date for whatever reason? Well, guess what? You still have the form and you could still edit that, change it, and get signatures again, right? You can still do that. The other concept here is, what about counteroffers or amendments, things where I might have multiple, right? Well, no big deal. You get the first one signed and now you have your final version. And then, okay, now it's time to do counteroffer 3. Well, let's say this is the form for counteroffer. Well, great. I can just come in here, take out 1, put 3, and then fill in the rest of the information. And I'm all set. Send for signature. I'm not changing what was signed because that's on its own now. It's its own thing. I always have the final version of whatever got signed. So we tell the difference. So we got forms that never have signatures, can always be edited. This is where we're always going to type whatever document that we're looking at, right? We've got signed things. These are the things that are precious to us. These are the ones that got signed. You can't edit them anymore. It's final copy. Then last but not least, we got PDF. And PDF is just literally anything else, right? So that's like if Kim sent me an offer and I loaded it in manually, it'd be a PDF, right? Now, in this case, because we did an envelope, we did get a certification with every envelope. And if you don't want these, you can just archive them. No big deal. Do not delete them. Don't delete anything for that matter, but don't delete these in particular, because this is like one of those things where if you ever did have to go to court, your lawyer will love you if you keep these, right? But PDFs essentially are just documents. You can absolutely throw them in envelopes and slap signatures on them. You can do whatever, but they won't have pre-tagged roles, right? You will have to put in whatever you have to put in. Every envelope, if I had multiple documents that went through that envelope, I will have multiple green signed forms, but I will only ever get 1 certificate per envelope that details out all the forms that were in it. Now I'm going to go on to a pro tip. This, you can see how this could get messy pretty quick, right? Do yourself a favor. Use folders. I'm going to go to Actions. I'm going to add a folder. I'm going to call this folder Signed Documents. right? So I clicked actions, I clicked add folder, making a folder called signed documents. I want to separate all my signed stuff into one spot because later when I go to add these documents to command, you will be able to browse via folder. Very useful, right? Because the only difference when we're looking at a file name standpoint, the only difference between this one and that one is this one's got text signed on at the end of it. It's really similar. So what I do is I click on this form top left. When I click on the top left of the form, you'll see that little circle that appears. When I click on it, I have these options now. I can download it. I can create an envelope with it. I can email it, which, yes, that totally works, by the way. I can move it. Oh, okay. Select a destination, folder in current room, or I can send it to a different room if I ever needed to for whatever reason, right? Like Mike, let's say you did want to do the whole thing where the offer got rejected, you wanted a new room. Well, great. You can still move things over there if you wanted to. I'm going to put this in signed documents, move it over, and I'm going to keep that over here. If I want to archive my certificate, no big deal. I just click on the little thing, click archive. Also, notice your filters. You got a search bar. You're sorting by name, A to Z. There is no other way to change the order. I'm sorry. You can do name, added, oldest, newest, and owner name, but none of those are really, you can't customize an order. Active documents, all documents, and archive documents. So if I need to unarchive something, it's just like how you did in .loop, right? You hit archive documents, come here, and now you can unarchive. All right. Last but not least, I know we're running a little behind, guys, so I apologize for the time delay here. We're not finished yet entirely. We want to make sure that we get the forms back over into command and the opportunity. Remember here? Oh my gosh, the finish line, right? Now we got to come back over here and make sure we can submit to the office, right? Now in .loop, we were having to download every single form, put them in a folder on our desktop, and then upload them one at a time. It's so much easier now if you're using Docusign, and here's why. Because I'm going to come to the spot. I'm in the listed folder. I got the exclusive right to sell listing agreement right here. I'm still going to hit add a file like I have been doing before. And I still have manual as an option if I want to, or I can use Docusign. This is a feature that you now have so long as the room is being created through the opportunity, because this is going to look into the Docusign room that's attached to this opportunity. And you'll notice I have my little folder here called signed documents. And if I kept myself organized, well, all my signed documents are here. I just got to click there, hit assign, and we're done. No download updrive. Your hard drive doesn't become a part of the conversation. And the rest of compliance is the same that it's always been, right? And that's not really covered in this class. We do have a designated compliance class for that. If you need that information, I highly encourage you to come to Command Compliance, where we talk about what to do from here and how to get paid, right? And what returned means and how you can check your statuses and all that good stuff. We cover that in a different class. But I want to go ahead and I've actually got 15 minutes. I know some of y'all need to run, so if you need to, please don't let me stop you. But if anybody has any questions about anything we covered today, I have got 10 minutes on the clock before I got to run to my next thing. So let her rip.
Okay, I'm going to let it rip. So I had a listing agent who did the all of the addendums and all of that stuff in one giant file. And he wanted me to use it. So I downloaded it. I uploaded it. I separated it. I split it into the PDF. Filled everything out individually, and then when I went to send it to my client for signatures, it mushed it all back into one big file. So she went ahead, signed everything. I got it back. I had downloaded it, separated it out. Am I doing it correctly?
So when your client signed it, when you were doing the envelope, right? Did you have multiple documents in the envelope?
Yes.
Not as one file, but you had individual boxes for
Correct.
each document in the envelope.
Correct.
And then when they signed it, it came back as just one signed document.
Correct. And so then it ended up as a zip file. So then I had to download the zip file upload it, separate it all back out again.
Okay. And I'm going to say this. There is something that you and I need to look at for that, because I've never heard of anything close to that happening before. And then the zip file thing, I know when you download multiple documents, you do get a zip file. But there's not, like, if I'm looking in here, like, there's not going to be a zip file here. Like, that's not going to be a thing. So I kind of want to maybe take some time, you and I separately, and look at that specifically and see kind of what you did and what you clicked on. And if you can do a Loom video of it, that'd be great. Obviously, you know how much I love Loom videos, or we can sit down one-on-one as well. And look at what you were doing and get a better idea. Because I think there's probably a nugget in there that you either, like, you probably don't know to tell me, or something like that. Like, there's some nugget, and I don't know quite how to pull it out based on that information. But if we look at it together, I'm sure we'll find it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry, Kim. I wish I could give you a better answer than that.
That's okay. It's done already. I'm always trying to find a way to make this go faster.
Oh, yeah.
Evan, can I ask more of a commandish question? So if you go back into command and you go back to, like, your name under, like, opportunities, and you go back to your name. So if I'm, like, looking at my,
I'm here, right?
Contact, yeah. So if there was, like, an active, if you go to, like, active, whatever, and then you wanted to do a second DocuSign room for a new, so I'm doing a buyer right now. So I'm trying to basically make a second, like, my second offer. That's why I was saying I had to delete the opportunity to remake it to be able to make the second DocuSign room, because it would, do you understand kind of what I'm saying?
So what I'm getting from you out of this, right, is the thing I'm thinking is that you made an opportunity, you created the room off the opportunity, you typed a bunch of stuff in, there's a lot of details that are saved, right? And then you want to write a new one
for a new property, but it keeps taking me to the room for the old property. And
it always will, yeah. So here's the thing.
Okay.
So here's the thing, right? Let's just pretend this was the offer, right? This is the form you typed it up on, and this is the one that you got signed, and you sent it, and they rejected it, right? Or, like, it didn't work out, whatever. And now you want to go and write a new offer for a new property.
Right.
Is there anything, you tell me, okay? Is there any pain by clicking back on that form and then just changing what's written there?
No, not really.
That's the idea.
Okay.
Right. So that's the idea, is that I would just come in here and go, okay, well, it's not this house anymore. Right. Because, again, remember, documents have two qualities. You can always edit them, and they never have signatures on them.
Right.
And you can always put them through an envelope. So what I would do if I was you, and do this, and if you get some pain out of this and you don't like it for whatever reason, come back and talk to me. We'll figure something out, or we'll figure out a process that works best for you. Everybody's going to be different with this, right? But I would take that signed document and I would just archive it.
Okay.
Right? Because that's not needed anymore. You don't want to delete it. Never, ever delete, right? Never, ever delete. You want to archive it, because if you ever got called to court for any reason on these things, and you never know when you will, you want to make sure you have a copy of everything. And having the one room and the one opportunity is going to make it really easy for you to come back later and go, oh, I got to pull out that one offer we got rejected. Well, you know what? It's going to be in the same place. Oh, there it is.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So you're basically saying, so it's easier then for me to just fill out one set of documents, and then for the next offer, archive whatever was signed, and then just change the current documents I have, because at least their information is the same. The agents and the house I'm putting an offer on, all that.
Yeah.
So just save me a little bit more. And then obviously all the stipulations and all those.
Yeah, because think about what your DocuSign room is, right? It's just a place for you to fill out some forms and get stuff signed.
Right.
The envelope, you can put whoever the heck you want in the envelope, right? At the end of the day. But when it comes to this room, you can change the name of the room. Right. That's not a big deal. I can change what's in the form always.
Right.
Right. And the DocuSign as a whole thing, it's just like an extension of the opportunity. Right. It's just an extension of it. And the same kind of rules apply. The only thing I would think of where this would be a real hassle, like doing it this way, is if you had gotten so much stuff filled out and like all these details, and like it was going to be more of a pain to go and undo those details and type it over than it would be to just start fresh. And if that happens, hey man, no harm, no foul. You can just archive the opportunity, make another one if you need to, right?
That's kind of how I
nothing wrong with doing that either. Just don't mark it as a lost opportunity.
Right.
Right. Because that would be, hey, I lost this. And that's going to affect your conversion rates.
Right. And I did archive the two that I did. So I guess that's
archive is like a mechanical oopsie, like, oh, hey, I'm starting over, like no big deal. Like that's what archive is for. Lost, which is if you're in here and you hit this, we'll do the same thing. It'll mark it as lost and it'll move it away. But this actually tells the system that like you had a bad thing happen. This opportunity is not moving forward. Therefore, at the point of showing to negotiations, we lost the opportunity.
Gotcha.
And so it's going to affect conversion rates. And later it's not really that consequential now. In the future, when we got more and more stuff built out with the statistics, it's going to come back and you're going to see like, it's going to suggest like, hey, we're looking at your under contract. It looks like you're losing things in inspections, right? Or, you'll kind of see that it'll be tracking that. It's not necessarily doing all that just yet.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I got to run actually to a call, but thanks for the time and I appreciate it always.
Cool. Awesome. And I've got 1 minute. Oh my God, that time went by real fast.
I'll grab that 1 minute.
Yeah, let's roll.
Back to my question about multiple documents. Was I at least on the right course of downloading his gigantic PDF, uploading it, splitting it out, naming it all the way that we want it to be named?
I want to know where you were splitting it. You were splitting it in Docusign?
Yeah, it's one of the actions.
Okay, one moment.
If you upload documents and then come over to actions, the blue button, actions, I'm pretty sure. Nope, I'm sorry.
In here.
Yeah, one of them is split. And so it allows you to split
Document
them all
actions.
out. There we go. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I split them all out, 10 different documents because they wanted everything. And then
I think you're on the right course there. I haven't done this myself. So
okay.
What result you got may be a consequence of doing it that way. It might be. I don't know. I haven't tested it. So we'll have to do some tests with that. And I'm down to do that. Are you a Mac or a PC?
I just wasn't sure how to get her to sign things appropriately if I sent it all as
you're on the right page for sure. And that's going to be the best way for you too, because unfortunately you can't control what they send you sometimes. There's only so much you can do. And the time savings you're going to get in the end is that when you're trying to get paid and you're actually submitting it, like you do want them to be individual. They have to be. What's gonna, are you on Mac or PC? I didn't.
PC.
PC. Okay.
Yeah,
that might be the only way we can do it. So we might want to look at that. The other way to do it would be to do a print to PDF and then print certain pages, but that's a lot. You could do it. It's just it's not efficient. What I saw from that looked really cool. What I'm afraid of is I'm really hoping that there was a mistake at some point in the envelope, hopefully, and that we could just make a correction to what you did in the envelope and that wouldn't happen, because logic would tell me that it would keep them separate after the envelope too. It wouldn't just re-put them back together. That's what my brain initially thinks. So that's what we probably want to look at, is how we did that. You just want to book 30 minutes with me, Kim, and let's just run a test.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
That sounds good. And
awesome.
This one's really quick.
Sure.
So I got an offer returned. The offer was accepted. The agent forgot to bind it. So he said, can you just bind it? So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I downloaded it. I uploaded it. I sent it to myself in an envelope, got myself to sign it. And then, so is that the best thing to do if I have to sign something at the last minute?
Yeah, well, so I have two answers for you. One is what I would have done, which is I would have been no, you're supposed to bind that.
Right. I know.
You're right. That's a legal process, right? That's not I'll just help you out. No, you're the one that if you're the one to last sign it, you're supposed to bind it, or the last person to see it after it's been signed. So yeah, that person should have bound it. If the other thing, if you are gonna be a nice person about it, I guess, that way it'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, that way we'll do it.
I couldn't think of any other way to get myself to sign it.
I can't either.
Okay.
I mean, Dotloop's kind of the same concept. You'd have to download it and then upload it because it wouldn't want you to kick out signatures, and then you had to go and put text boxes in.
Yep.
Except you could just hit save at that point. So that Dotloop probably be a little bit quicker, but still a pain.
And thank you for clarifying going back to fill out the document as much as possible, because I had listened to the earlier lessons. So I
threw so many people off at that, and I feel really bad about that. The other thing, another big reason is that you're going to very soon have in DocuSign forms, you pull up a form, you're going to be able to pick which template you want here.
Lovely.
You'll be able to set those up to where like the template would be like essentially like default details, where it would fill in like your license number at the bottom and all that stuff would automatically fill in, and you just pick from that version and go, I want that one. It pulls it in. It's already halfway filled out, because I mean, really, how much stuff are you really needing to actually put in? It's not the same every time. So they're adding that in. And to me, that's like the last piece of the pie that needs to be there for this to be like,
quicker.
all right, good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kim. Daryl?
Thank you, Evan, very much.
Thank you.
You got anything for me, Daryl?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Give me one moment, buddy.